They really thought I wouldn't notice. That was the first mistake. So it was my cousin's engagement party, right? Big deal. Like, actual cousins, not the ones you've only met at funerals. This was the stuff of Facebook statuses and forced smiles. And I get this text from my aunt, all cheerful, asking if I'm coming. Standard. Except it was dated 2 days after the event. Wait, what? I stared at the screen. The date. It was right there. Clear as day. January 14th. The party, according to this text, had happened on January 12th. My brain did a little stutter step. Had I forgotten? No. No way. I'd been looking forward to it, even with the general air of obligation that hangs over these things. I even bought a new shirt. A dark blue one. It was fine. Then my mom calls. Oh, John. We were wondering where you were. Her voice, usually a comforting hum, had a slightly strained quality to it. Like she was trying to thread a needle in the dark. My stomach did that weird flip-flop thing, like I'd just eaten a handful of gravel. Mom, the invitation. It said it was yesterday? I asked, trying to keep my voice level. I didn't want to sound accusatory. Not yet. And she's all, oh, well, that was just the preliminary announcement, honey. The actual party was last weekend. Last weekend. The party I apparently wasn't actually invited to, but everyone else was. You know how it is, they tell you about the idea of the thing, not the actual happening of it. This whole elaborate charade, like I was too fragile to handle a real invitation. Like I was a delicate antique vase that might shatter if presented with the harsh reality of a date. My dad. He's usually the one who forgets to tell me where the car keys are, let alone a major family shindig. He once forgot to tell me we were out of milk for 3 days. 3 days. And even he remembered to mention it to her. To her. The one who'd been giving me the silent treatment for months because of some stupid argument about a pizza topping. As if that was a capital offense. A pineapple topping, no less. The audacity. I mean, it's pizza. It's not like I'd suggested we put anchovies on it. That would be a legitimate grievance. But pineapple? Come on. Anyway, I just said, right. Okay. Glad it went well. And I hung up before she could weave any more magical tales of my non-attendance. The call ended with a click that felt too abrupt. Too final. The drive home from wherever I was when she called was. Well, it was just a drive. The radio was on, some talk show host droning about politics. I tuned it out. I was thinking about that pizza topping. Seriously, pineapple? It's a fruit. It doesn't belong on savory dishes. Unless it's a Hawaiian pizza, and even then, it's a controversial choice. I remember seeing a commercial once for a pizza topped with peanut butter and jelly. That's just wrong. This family argument, though, it felt like a symptom of something bigger. A general forgetfulness. Or maybe a selective memory. The next day, I'm scrolling through pictures. You know, the usual mindless scroll. Photos of people's lunches, sunsets, babies. And then, there it is. Front and center. Me. With a stupid grin, holding a champagne flute, right next to the happy couple. My phone's camera roll is a historical archive of my life. Years of backed-up messages, photos, even voice memos. I have receipts for everything. This was not some hazy memory, this was documented. I have a picture of the exact moment I spilled coffee on my favorite shirt in 2018. I have a text exchange from 2015 where my friend tried to convince me that glitter was a legitimate form of currency. So this picture. This was solid. Undeniable. A digital alibi. So I sent that photo. To my aunt. No caption. Just the picture. Then I got a text from my mom. It had 3 question marks. Then, where was that taken? I just sent back, the engagement party. You know, the one last weekend? The silence that followed was thicker than cheap gravy. You could practically hear the gears grinding in their heads. It was like watching a cartoon character suddenly realize they'd run off a cliff and hadn't noticed yet. My dad. He's usually the one who forgets to tell me where the car keys are, let alone a major family shindig. But even he remembered to mention it to her. To her. The one who'd been giving me the silent treatment for months because of some stupid argument about a pizza topping. As if that was a capital offense. This was the same woman who'd once sent me a Christmas card with a picture of her cat on it. And then sent me another one a week later with the same cat, just in a slightly different pose. She has a dedication to repetition. My younger brother, bless his oblivious heart, finally called me. He's the type of guy who would genuinely ask if you wanted to split the last slice of pizza. Even if he was starving. Dude, what happened? He asked. His voice was laced with a sort of confused concern. Mom's freaking out. She said you were supposed to be. Out of town? Out of town? I snorted. The sound was a little too loud, a little too harsh. No, I was just busy. You know, with my life. My life, which apparently didn't include attending events I was vaguely aware of. He paused. Okay, but. There's a whole thing. About you not being there, but then you were there. And now you're. Mad? Mad? I laughed. It was a sharp, brittle sound. Like dry leaves crunching underfoot. No. Just. Clarifying the historical record. I needed to make sure my personal archives were accurate. For posterity. Let me tell you, the backtracking was epic. My aunt, she tried to play it off like it was a surprise party for me that I'd apparently crashed. A surprise party for me, at my cousin's engagement. That makes perfect sense. My mom. She claimed she'd meant to tell me about the real date, but then got so caught up in planning. It was a symphony of excuses, each more ridiculous than the last. You know how it is. When you've been caught with your hand in the cookie jar, you start inventing stories about how the cookies magically flew into your mouth. Or how you were just conducting a scientific experiment on cookie gravity. I remember looking at my phone, the picture of me smiling there, and feeling this weird disconnect. Like I was watching a documentary about someone else. Someone who was at an engagement party. Someone who was apparently not supposed to be there. And then my brother's voice, all earnest, asking if I wanted to get together next week. We can catch up, he said. And maybe. Talk about stuff. He's always the mediator. The one who tries to smooth over the family rifts. He once tried to broker peace between my dad and me over who got to use the last of the hot sauce. It was a close call. I told him I'd let him know. The phone was still warm in my hand. The smell of my laundry detergent, a faint citrus scent, was in the air. I needed to call the dentist. I'd missed my appointment last week. I'd been too busy. Busy with. Well, busy with whatever I was doing that prevented me from going to the engagement party. It was all very confusing. The thing is, I wasn't even supposed to be there. That's what they'd decided. I was inconvenient. Too much drama. So they just uninvited me. Except they didn't, not officially. They just pretended the invitation was for a different date. A date I was conveniently elsewhere. Except I wasn't. I was just at home. Doing laundry. Because apparently, my presence at a family event was more disruptive than a malfunctioning washing machine. And my sock drawer was overflowing. A truly catastrophic situation. I had to organize them by color and by thickness. It's a system. It works. Until it doesn't. Then I saw the photo. The digital evidence. Years of backed up messages, photos. I had the email too, the one from my aunt with the wrong date. It was all there. A timeline of their collective amnesia. A curated history of my supposed absence. I'd even saved the text with the pineapple pizza argument. Just in case. You never know when you might need to refer to it. So I sent the photo. To my aunt. No caption. Just the picture. And the silence. It was deafening. It was the kind of silence that makes you wonder if you've accidentally stepped into a void. Then my mom called. Her voice was tight, like a violin string about to snap. John, she started, and the way she said my name, it sounded like an accusation. About that picture. What picture, Mom? I asked, my voice as bland as unsalted crackers. I was trying to channel a calm I didn't feel. The one you sent. With you. At the party. She paused, and I could almost see her shifting uncomfortably on the other end of the line. Oh, that one. Yeah, I thought it was a good shot. You all looked so happy. I even managed a small, fake smile. A tiny sniffle. Then, we thought you weren't coming. Right, I said. The invitation was a little confusing. I let that hang in the air. A little. A tiny bit. A mere suggestion of confusion. She started to babble about miscommunications and accidental deletions. It was a cascade of half-truths and convenient forgetfulness. She even claimed she'd tried calling me that night, but my phone was off. Which was a lie. My phone was on, sitting right there on the counter, glowing with her unanswered texts. I'd just chosen not to answer. Because I was busy. Busy being excluded. Busy with my life. My very real, very present life. A life that apparently didn't need their input. My dad chimed in, his voice gruff. He's not good with this stuff. He's more of a fix-it guy, not a talk-about-it guy. Well, we just assumed. You know. With everything going on. Everything going on? I repeated. The phrase was so vague, so dismissive. What's everything going on? He mumbled something about work, and me being stressed. He's always trying to protect me from things, even when it means shutting me out. It's like he thinks I'm made of spun glass. Or maybe he just doesn't want to deal with the mess. It's easier to pretend things are fine, I guess. Easier to sweep the inconvenient details under the rug. Anyway, my brother called later that week. He sounded sheepish. He's usually the one who calls to tell me about the latest funny meme or a new video game. So, he began, Mom's been acting weird. She keeps asking if you're still mad. Mad? I said, and I actually felt a smile creep onto my face. A genuine one this time. No. Just updating the family archives. He was quiet for a second. She said. She said she didn't want to upset you by telling you the real date. Because she thought you might not want to come. I just stared at my phone. The hypocrisy was so thick it was practically a physical object. They decided I wasn't important enough for a real invitation. Then invented a story about me being absent to cover their tracks, only to be exposed by my own photographic evidence. My life is a constant stream of baffling family dramas. It's like a reality TV show I never signed up for. And the ratings are probably through the roof. Mind you, it wasn't about the party itself. It was the principle. The sheer, unadulterated gall of it. Deciding I wasn't worthy of a heads-up. Like I was some stray dog they hoped wouldn't wander into the house. A dog that, if it did show up, would be shooed away with a broom. So yeah. That was it. I won. In a way. The victory was hollow, but it was a victory nonetheless. It was a victory of factual evidence over fabricated memory. The next day, my mom sent me a text. It was just a picture of a really elaborate birthday cake. No message. Just the cake. Like a peace offering. Or a bribe. Or a subtle hint that my actual birthday was coming up and they had plans. It was a very tall cake, with intricate frosting details. I think it had a marzipan unicorn on top. A unicorn. Because of course. I haven't responded yet. I'm waiting to see if she sends me a formal invitation this time. Or just a photo of me cutting the cake. Maybe an animated GIF of me blowing out candles. That would be peak family communication. Anyway. The phone's ringing again. Probably her.